Hi everybody, it's Alyce-Kay Ruckelshaus from Threshold of Hineni, and I'm doing a craft table talk. So I'm not doing a tutorial, I'm not doing a craft with me, I'm just talking about things while I craft. Craft table talk. And right now I started kind of a series yesterday about things that I learned while dating, and you might be wondering, oh my gosh, this lady's like almost 60 years old and she's going to talk about dating. Yep, I'm going to talk about dating. I was dating 5 years ago. I met my husband online. He is 20 years older than me. We met online 5 years ago, and 5 years and 1 month ago. And oh, and just in case you're wondering what I'm doing while I'm talking, I have a bunch of paper that I printed but didn't use, and so I'm going to make it into envelopes. So I'm cutting it into squares so I can use it that way. That's not quite a square. Okay, so anyway, so we met online, and I don't consider myself an expert, but I did learn a lot. I was dating online for, what did I figure out, about three or 4 years. And I had dated online before that too. So anyway, so I just thought I would share with you because recently I was talking to a younger girl who I know who wanted to date online, and we were actually talking about some other things, and this came up. And I've talked to a number of other people, young people and people my age, and even some women who are older than me, who have wanted to date online. And and I've kind of, as I've shared my experiences, there are things that I've found aren't obvious, and they were not obvious to me either. But when I learned them, I kind of assumed that it was just because I was dumb. But I'm not, because a lot of other people have the same misconceptions or problems too. So, and then also, even if you're not dating, most of these lessons really do apply to you anyway. And I'll try to remember to share some of the ways that they apply to you, even if you're not dating. And then also, maybe somebody who's dating, and so you can be helpful to them by sharing some of this with them. So anyway, so what I wanted to talk about today is that you're only looking for one person, which I know sounds really, really obvious, but it's not. What we do, what we have a tendency to do, most of us kind of intuitively, is we want to be attractive to as many people as we can be. This is true in life, not just with dating, okay? But it really, really comes out on a dating website. And I didn't learn this until close to the end of my dating time. And I'll tell you, one of the things that influenced me as far as learning this was a movie. I love movies, and I'm not, this isn't like, a Christian movie or anything like this, and it wasn't setting out to teach this lesson, but you can learn a lot by watching other people's lives, even when they're fiction. And I think I should have looked it up before starting this, but I didn't think about the fact that I was going to use this illustration. I think the movie was called How Do You Know, but I'm not sure. It had Reese Witherspoon in it. And anyway, so her friend in the movie was in the hospital. She had just had a baby, and the baby's father had not asked her to marry him, and she was kind of upset about that. But he came to visit her in the hospital, and she was, a little miffed at him for obvious reasons. But also just, whatever. It doesn't matter for this topic. Anyway, his proposal is amazing, and I'll try to remember to link it at the bottom so that you can see it. He came into the hospital, he proposed to her. It didn't seem like that's what he was going to do at first, which is how really good proposals are, by the way. But one of the things that he said was that he didn't propose to her because he didn't feel like he was good enough for her. But then he started thinking about the really quirky things about her that might frustrate some other man, and he couldn't handle the thought of her being in a marriage with someone who didn't love her for those things and who just tolerated those things. Okay, so there's a couple things there that just really struck me when I was dating and when I saw this and was thinking about it and everything. And the first thing is that, yeah, there are things about me that attract some people and they really bother other people. And some men think that something is really cute while you're dating them, but then, if you married and you were still that way, it would drive them crazy. Okay, well, I wanted a man who loved me for who I am, not for how he thought I should be. And the same thing, I wanted to be able to love him for who he was, not, for just whoever I thought he should be. I wanted to really love the true him and not just, try to make him into the kind of man that I wanted. First of all, you really can't do that. But at my age, you really can't do that. You can't teach old dogs new tricks, right? So, a person is the way that they are, and they are going to develop in their personality as after you're married, but hopefully you guys will grow together in that. Bill and I have grown a lot in our personalities in 4.5 years, but we've grown together, and that's been just really, really wonderfully beautiful. 7 3/8. Okay, so what was I saying? So anyway, so a couple of things with that. First of all, when you're dating, you're just looking for one person. Let's say I'm talking to women, but the same thing applies to men. Okay, because it's just, I don't want to say him or her all the time. You're just looking for one man because all you want is one husband. And again, as I'm talking about dating, I'm talking about the kind of dating that's looking for a marriage partner, not just the kind of, oh, let's go have fun dating. That's fine, but that's just not what I'm talking about. Okay, so you're only looking for one man, and you want to attract the right man, not a whole bunch of frogs that you're going to have to kiss. So, and I didn't realize this until pretty late in my dating experience. When I realized this, it made a huge difference, and I rewrote my my profile on the dating website that I was on, basically with the intention of scaring off, of attracting one man and scaring off everybody else. I didn't quite scare off everybody else, but I scared off a lot of men. And so I didn't just go around saying scary things. Here's what I did was I was very, very honest about who I was. And there's a difference between not being dishonest and being honest. We tend to, when we're dating or, starting a friendship or whatever, we tend to put our best foot forward. And that's not really very realistic. And you can kind of be aware of that as you're dating or as you're making new friends and stuff, that, people are going to put their best foot forward and this isn't really the real them and so on and so forth. But I didn't want to fall in love with a man and then have him find out things about me, down the road after we've fallen in love or something, and, find out that, oh, that's not so good. Okay, I think that a lot of people feel like, well, at that point, then they're going to be in love with me, and so, they're not going to care. They're going to just put up with that. You don't want that. You don't want somebody to just put up with you. You want them to really, really love you for who you are. And some things are just bad. They're just bad habits or whatever. But other things might be bad to one person and really good to another person. And so being really honest about who you are, about your faults even, those are things that are going to scare some men off, and other men are going to go, wow, that's incredible that she's that honest. And those are things that don't really bother me that much. Yeah, they're faults, but they're not things that bother me so much. For example, I am not a great housekeeper. It's not that I don't have the ability to be, and it's not that I don't think that it's important, but it's not as important to me as some other things. I have other priorities. I have other things that, especially as I've gotten older, just are much, much more important to me to do. I have 50 books that I want to write. I'm not going to spend all day cleaning house. Just not going to happen. So I was honest about that. And Bill and I were both okay. It's like, yes, we would love to have a perfectly clean house, but it's just not our top priority. And, you might come into our house and really hate it. That's fine. You're not living here. It's us. And we get to decide how we're going to live. And so we get a lot done. I'm always having people say to me, gosh, I just don't know how you get everything done that you get done. And I say to them, well, come to my house and you'll see it's not as clean as your house. And that's just a fact. And that might really bother some people. In fact, it would probably bother most people. But for me, for Bill, it's not the most important thing in the world. And actually accomplishing our life goals is a lot more important to us. And, and for me, this has been something that, I've thought about for a long time. I just really don't see God saying to me when I get to heaven, well done, good and faithful servant, you kept your house dusted. If I married a man who that was really important to, then that might be part of the well done, good and faithful servant, but I didn't. And God gave me other gifts and talents, and he wants me to use those, and it's more important to me to use those things. So that's just, I'm not saying that's how you should be. I'm just giving this as an example of something that would be a major fault to probably most men. They're not going to want to marry a woman for whom housekeeping is not a high priority. Okay, so I scared off, I don't know, 90% of the men that way probably. Okay. Other things were no sex before marriage. Okay. You would think that that's something that's really a common value among Christians. No, it's not, especially among older Christians. So, that's, and there's a difference between failing in that and just starting out with the, hey, this is, what we're going to be. And I'm not here to judge anybody. That's not my purpose. That's not my point in this. But that's something that was important to me, was that this is what we're setting out to do. Okay, so that scared off a lot of guys. I had quite a few of them write to me and say, oh, you sound so perfect for me, except for this. Would you be willing to reconsider? And I'm all, no. And so, yeah. So anyway, that was another thing about me that was important, that was probably unusual, and that turned a lot of men off. No pun intended, but that's how it is. And I can't remember what else there was, and then I put some things that were kind of quirky about me that, aren't like super important, but I love bar graphs. I really, really love bar graphs. And I kind of wanted to see if anybody caught on to that. And one guy that I dated on our first date, he did bring a bunch of bar graphs to show me from his work. I loved it. It was so great because, he was paying attention. The other thing was that I kind of put in some tests, and I didn't mean these as like tricky tests or being mean or anything, but it's like, okay, one of the things that's really important to me is the Bible. And again, I'm not saying that has to be important to you, but it is really, really important to me. And I wasn't judging the men who it wasn't important to, but it's so important to me that I wouldn't want to marry someone who doesn't share that love of God's word. And so my profile name, I don't remember now exactly what it was. It was Psalm something, like let's just say Psalm 43:10, but I don't think that's the right one. It was the King's Daughter is all glorious within, if you want to look it up. And anyway, so I just put like PS 43:10 or whatever the reference was. And I didn't explain it any place in my profile. Well, you wouldn't believe how many men would go, what does that mean? Okay, well, that doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with them, but they're not the man for me because obviously they can't recognize a scripture verse when they see it. And then other men would go, oh, do you work in a public school? Because like in New York, I think that the public schools are PS something or other. So I thought that was kind of cute. But again, okay, so scripture is not the top thing on their mind. And this might sound to you like it's kind of a silly thing to do, but because this was such a high priority to me, marrying somebody to whom God's word was really important, that was kind of my shibboleth test. And if you don't know what that is, I will try to remember to put the reference to that below so that you can read the story in the Bible. But it really helped me to narrow things down. Some men said, oh, I see that you like Psalm 43:10 or whatever it was. And they'd say, what does it say? And I'm thinking, honey, if you can't open up your Bible and look, then you're not the right man for me. So it's like I just got really, really picky. And I would recommend that you be really, really picky, because you're not looking for 1,000 men. You're looking for one. You're looking for one. And you're looking for that person who's perfect for you. They may not be perfect for everybody. I mean, they may not be perfect, as in, like, there's nothing wrong with them. But they're perfect for you. Okay? Obviously, I'm not perfect. I don't keep my house perfectly clean. That makes me not perfect. But that's perfect for somebody else who has the same priorities. Okay, does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. Anyway, so how does this apply to... Oh, well, so let me just tell you how this worked out. So with Bill, first thing he said to me, first thing when he wrote to me on the website was, I see that your profile name is Psalm 43:10, or whatever the reference was. I looked it up and it says, the king's daughter is all glorious within. What does that mean to you? And I was like, oh my gosh, this guy is so perfect. He's 20 years older than me. He's an old guy, so I'm not interested, but we could be friends, it was just like my heart melted, because it was like two things in one, or actually maybe like three things in one there. Because first of all, he recognized that it was a verse. He looked it up, and he wanted to have a meaningful discussion about it. He didn't just go, oh, that's a nice verse, and then ask me something else. He wanted to have a meaningful discussion about Scripture, which is like so important to me. And again, that doesn't need to be your priorities, but figure out what your priorities are. What is really, really important to you? And then what can you put as kind of a test that you put out there to help figure out whether it's important or not to the men who are wanting to date you. Because there's really no point in dating somebody who isn't perfect for you. And you probably will have to date a few men to find out what perfect for you means, even. And that's another whole topic. Okay, so how does this apply to people who aren't dating? For me, as a business person and as somebody in ministry, because I write Christian books, I teach the Bible, I really, really want to be able to minister to people and to help people grow closer to God. That's like my life calling. That's the thing that's the most important to me, is to help people grow closer to God. Okay, so whatever your calling is, think of what that is. You don't want to be friends with everybody in the world. I don't need to have everybody in the world want to read my books. If I tried to write a book that everyone in the world would enjoy, I would write something really stupid and meaningless. Okay, because not everybody enjoys or is touched by the same things. I want to write something that is going to make a difference in the lives of the people who read it. And that's the response that I often get. Probably not from everybody who reads my books, because they're not right for everybody. But that's the thing, is that you don't want to attract everybody. Now, as far as like business and ministry and friendships and stuff, you're not just looking for one person like you are when you're dating, but you're not looking for the whole world either. You're looking for the people who fit in your niche, the people who are your quote unquote tribe. And I'm not saying you're the leader of that tribe, but these are the people that you really relate to, the people who really resonate with you, the people who you're going to make a difference in their lives, and they're going to make a difference in your life. My quote unquote tribe is not my tribe as in I'm the leader, not at all. I'm part of that tribe, and I have my gifts to those people that I give my gifts and my teaching, my books and my teaching, and maybe that intersects with crafts too, or there's like maybe I'm part of a craft tribe too that's not interested in the Bible, but they like the crafts and stuff, because I think most of us probably belong to several different tribes because we have lots of different interests. But those are the people that you really resonate with and who really resonate with you. Those are the people that you want to attract. Those are the people that you want to be attracted to. And so find the ways, well, first of all, just recognize that you don't want to attract everyone. And then find the ways that you can help those people not waste their time on you, and help you not waste your time on them if they aren't the appropriate people. So for example, when I first started writing books, it was the same thing. I made the mistake of wanting to appeal to everybody. And so my first book was kind of dumb. And I eventually rewrote it because it just needed to appeal more specifically to this particular group of people who would truly resonate with me, and that I would resonate with them. And so I rewrote it, and I think each book as I write it, and the ones that I'm writing right now, are really truly this way. You kind of get better at it as you go, whether it's writing or any other area. You get better and better about really trying to just reach that group and being okay with everybody else rejecting you. And you guys, sometimes it does mean that there are going to be people who reject you that you care about, or that you somehow thought that you wanted them to be part of your life. It can even be family. But you know what? It's a blessing when they reject you. It really is. Because if you're spending your time chasing after these people who are not part of your tribe, they don't resonate with you, you don't resonate with them, you're wasting your time. Seriously, you're wasting your time. You're not doing what God's called you to do. You're not fulfilling your life purpose. You're just chasing after popularity, basically. You're chasing after people who don't really get you, and who don't want to get you, and or whatever, I think part of that for me, and I'm talking to people who have a relationship with God here, because we're in the same tribe. Let's put it that way. A lot of that for me is following God's leading, and asking Him to show me what I need to do, because sometimes people will make a proposal or ask you for something that seems like, oh yeah, I really want to do that. Okay, so for example, I every once in a while will get a request from a woman who, and these are different women each time, who say something like, I really love your book. It really made a difference to me, because my first book right now is free, and it has been for a long time. Although I probably will change that at some point here. I'm seriously considering it. They say, I really, really love your book, but I can't afford to buy more of them. And before you poo-poo that, I understand that, because I lived a lot of my life at the financial place where if I spent $2.99 on a book, it would have had to come out of groceries. And, I'm not going to give up milk for my kids or whatever in order so that I can read a book. Just not going to happen. And so, you genuinely can't afford it. And I'm giving people the benefit of the doubt when they say things. I'm not trying to figure out if they're lying to me or not. Some of them might be, but that's just not my place to try to figure that out. And so I just ask God what to do. Sometimes I end up giving them all my books for free. But more often than not, I feel God saying, no, don't. And it was really interesting, because this happened recently where I had several requests like this. Not necessarily even requests. A lot of times people weren't asking for them. They were just saying, I wish I could, but I can't. And that's fine. But, they're writing to me about it. So it kind of comes across like a request. But maybe they're just telling me that they like my books. I don't know. Anyway, whatever. In each of those cases, and this was all like within the last month, I felt like God said pretty strongly, don't give them to them. Well, then I ended up doing a giveaway because of getting, reaching a goal that I had for myself with subscribers in our newsletter and subscribers on YouTube. And one of the things I was giving away was my books. And so I sent an email to each of those women, and I said, by the way, I'm having a giveaway soon, and just watch this YouTube video and you'll get the instructions and you can enter. Well, as it turned out, I didn't have a lot of people enter to begin with, which was fine. It meant that there was more of a chance that the people who entered were going to get something, which I really like, because I always feel badly if people don't get something. And there were only 3 people who entered for the books. So I ended up giving one person all the books. Another person got a choice of which set of books they wanted. And the other person had won another prize, so she was disqualified from the books. And then I also said, anybody who entered, if you didn't win something, let me know and I will give you a book. Just tell me which book you want. So everybody had the opportunity to have a book for free. Well, I'll tell you what, not one single one of those women who had said that they couldn't afford to read my books but really, really wanted to, not one of them entered that. And I emailed each one of them specifically letting them know about this, and they definitely would have won something. So it really, it said something to me. And again, I'm not using this to judge them. I'm just using it to learn from my own life. I think I was really right to follow God's leading on that. You're always right to follow God's leading. But sometimes, you kind of wonder, was that really God, or just I'm in a bad mood, or what? And I think that confirmed that it really was God, because if they really had one of those books, they very easily could have entered and they would have won at least one book. So, I can't even remember what the point was. I had a point in sharing that, and it had to do with this whole thing of finding your tribe. Anyway, I know, about just listening to God, listening to God's leading and allowing Him to, following Him when you, what am I doing here? Following Him when you aren't sure of something, or even if you are sure of something and God leads you a different way, do what God leads you to do. Okay, so just being led by Him, I guess, is what I was saying. And finding those people who really resonate with you and that you are actually going to make a difference in their lives, rather than chasing after the people that you want to minister to or you think you should minister to. There are a lot of assumptions that we've been given in our society and even in our churches that are not biblical. Really examine those. I know it's really hard, because it's like assumptions are things that you just don't question. And so it's hard to get yourself to question them. And I'm trying to do that more lately. I'm not super good at it, but I'm trying. And I'm trying to kind of examine everything that I believe and go, does the Bible say this? And for the most part, yes, the Bible does say that, and yes, it's true. But in a lot of cases, I'm finding that the things that I was taught in church and in our culture are completely opposite of what the Bible actually teaches. And that's just really a little scary. So anyway, so just, question that. And so what I'm saying is just don't go chasing after everybody. Find those people that you're supposed to be with for whatever reason, whether you're